My husband signed the loan. This is for us, right? He asked. I nodded. But I was already leaving and he didn't know the debt was only his. I didn't ruin things all at once. I did it in small decisions that stacked until he couldn't step back anymore. We were in our apartment in Tampa when I started pushing harder. It wasn't a bad place, just small and predictable. Peter liked it because it was affordable. I started hating it because it felt like proof we weren't moving forward. We should look at houses, I said one night. We will, he answered. When it makes sense. That phrase started everything. So I stopped arguing and started presenting. Listings, numbers, what we can afford. I showed him a house slightly above what we planned. Not extreme. Just enough to stretch us. It's higher, he said during the viewing. It's worth it, I said. We can handle it. He hesitated. I didn't. We can't stay here forever, Peter. That was the shift. I didn't convince him. I made staying feel like failure. A few days later, he said, we can technically do it. But we need to be careful. No big spending after. I'm with you, I told him. That was the first lie that mattered. We signed. He read every page. I watched him sign anyway. The house felt like a win for about 3 weeks. Then it wasn't enough. I started pointing things out. The kitchen needs work. The lights look outdated. We should fix it while we're here. He said, we need to slow down. I said, we're already in this. Why stop halfway? That became my pattern. Push, reframe, move forward before he could pull back. We painted. We replaced fixtures. Then appliances. Then furniture. A lot of it went on credit. He noticed before I admitted it. One night at the kitchen table, he said, if something changes, this gets tight. Nothing's going to change, I said. I said it without hesitation. Because by then, something already had. Work gave me space. More events, longer hours, less time at home. That's where Brian came in. He was easy to talk to. Fast decisions, no hesitation, no constant weighing of risks. At first it was just conversations. Then it wasn't. At home, Peter started noticing the distance. You've been quiet, he said. I'm just tired, I answered. That became my default. He tried again. Did something happen? No. Short answers. No eye contact. Always just enough to end the conversation. Meanwhile, I kept pushing forward with the house. He stayed at the table longer each night, checking numbers, adjusting things, trying to keep everything stable. I sat across from him and told him everything was fine. One night he said, we need to slow down on spending. We already talked about this, I replied. We're fine. We're not as fine as you think. I remember feeling irritated, not concerned. Like he was blocking progress instead of protecting us. That's when I realized something important. I didn't want balance anymore. I wanted momentum. And I was willing to get it, even if it meant dragging him into it. There was a moment that should have stopped everything. He looked up and said, I feel like I'm losing you. And I said, you're not. But by then I already was. I just hadn't left yet. I didn't cross the line all at once. I stepped over it quietly, then kept walking like I hadn't done anything wrong. It started after a late event. Everyone had already left. Chairs stacked, lights dim, that empty room silence after something loud. Brian stayed behind to help. You ever feel like you picked the wrong version of your life? He asked. I shrugged. That's dramatic. I'm serious, he said. Like you chose safe and now you're stuck with it. I didn't answer him. Not honestly. But it stayed with me. After that, we started talking more. Then texting. Then it just didn't stop. At home, Peter noticed first. You're on your phone a lot, he said one night. Work, I answered. That was how I justified everything. If part of it was true, then the whole thing didn't feel like a lie. The distance came fast after that. I stopped asking about his day. Stopped paying attention when he talked about work. Conversations turned into short exchanges that ended before they started. He tried to fix it. Did I do something? He asked. No. Then what's going on? Nothing. I'm just tired. That word again. Tired. It worked because it ended the conversation without solving anything. Meanwhile, Brian felt easy. No tension. No long discussions about money or risk or timing. Why do you stay if you're not happy? He asked me one night. I didn't answer right away. Because the truth was simple. I stayed because leaving meant facing what I had already done. So instead, I stayed and let things get worse. That's the part one can't defend. I knew I wasn't fully in the relationship anymore. I knew I was pulling away. And I kept pushing Peter forward anyway. We were deeper into the house by then. More payments, more upgrades, more pressure to maintain everything. He was trying to hold it together. I was already halfway out. The night everything shifted for real wasn't dramatic. We were sitting on the couch. He had his laptop open, numbers on the screen, stress written all over him. We need to slow down, he said. This isn't sustainable if anything goes wrong. We've already invested this much, I replied. Stopping now doesn't make sense. It does if it keeps us stable. We are stable. He closed the laptop slowly. Laura, I don't think you're hearing me. I was hearing him. I just didn't care anymore. That's when I realized how far I had gone. I didn't see his caution as protection. I saw it as something in the way. And at the same time, I was texting Brian while sitting next to him. That should have been enough to stop everything. It wasn't. The first time it became physical, it didn't feel like a decision. It felt like something I didn't stop. That's the difference I keep trying to use to make it sound less intentional. But the truth is, I let it happen. After that, lying got easier. Not because I felt good about it, but because I stopped questioning it. At home, Peter tried again. I feel like I'm losing you, he said one night. You're not, I answered. Same lie. Same tone. No hesitation. But something changed in his face after that. Not anger. Not even sadness. Just distance. Like he stopped trying to fix something he couldn't understand. And still, I didn't stop. I kept pushing the house forward. More spending. More decisions. More pressure to keep everything moving. Because slowing down would have meant facing what I was doing. And I wasn't ready to do that. So I stayed. And made sure everything around him kept getting harder to walk away from. I didn't plan the ending. I just stopped pretending long enough for it to happen. It wasn't a fight. No yelling, no scene, nothing dramatic you could point to and say, that's where it broke. I sat across from Peter at the kitchen table and said, I'm not happy. That was it. He didn't react right away. Just looked at me like he was trying to figure out what I meant, like there was a version of this that still made sense. What changed? He asked. I had the truth ready. I just didn't use it. Instead I said, we want different things. He leaned back slightly confused. We've always wanted the same things. Not anymore. That doesn't just happen overnight. It didn't. But I let him believe it did. I think I need space, I said. That word again. Space. Another clean way to avoid saying what I had already done. He kept asking questions. Trying to find something he could fix. Is this about the house? The money? We can adjust. It's not just that. Then what is it? I didn't answer. Because the real answer would have ended the conversation faster than I wanted. He sat there for a long time after that, like if he stayed still enough, something would make sense. It didn't. The timing made everything worse. We had just taken on another loan for the house. Another commitment that tied him deeper into everything we built. And that's when I left. I moved out within a couple of weeks. Packed what I needed, said I'd figure the rest out later. Grace let me stay at her place at first. She didn't ask a lot of questions, but she didn't hide what she thought either. You could have handled that better, she said once. I know. You still could. I didn't respond to that. Because handling it better would have meant going back and telling the truth. And I wasn't ready to do that. I started spending more time with Brian after I left. At first it felt like relief. No pressure, no tension, no constant weight of something falling apart. Just easy. That didn't last. Once there was no one else in the picture, no secrecy, no tension to push against, everything about him became clearer. He wasn't stable. Not in the way Peter was. Plans changed. Promises didn't always hold. Things that felt exciting before started feeling unreliable. I noticed it quickly. And I ignored it for a while. Because admitting that I had traded stability for something temporary would have meant facing what I gave up. Peter found out about Brian eventually. I didn't tell him directly. I just stopped hiding it. The last time we talked was short. Quiet. He didn't yell. Didn't accuse me. Didn't try to make me feel worse than I already should have. He just said, you asked me to build a life with you. I did. I just didn't know you weren't going to stay in it. I didn't have anything to say to that. Because there wasn't a version of the truth that made me look better. It's been about a year. Brian and I didn't last. That part feels predictable now. What felt exciting didn't hold up without pressure. Without the contrast, it was just inconsistency. I'm renting again. Smaller place. Starting over. Peter's still in the house. From what I've heard through Steven, he picked up extra work. Cut back on everything. Just focused on keeping things under control. He doesn't talk about me. That's what bothers me the most. He's not trying to win. Not trying to get people on his side. He's just dealing with what I left him with. I've tried to justify it. That I deserve to be happy. That I didn't force him into anything. That he made his own decisions. And technically, that's true. He signed the papers. He agreed to the loans. He stayed. But I know how it really happened. I pushed. I framed things in a way that made moving forward feel like the only option. And I stayed long enough to make sure everything was locked in before I walked away. That's the part one can't ignore. I haven't reached out to him. I don't think I have the right to. Sometimes I think about what would have happened if I left earlier. Before the house. Before the debt. Before everything became something he couldn't easily step away from. Maybe he'd be fine. Maybe I wouldn't feel like this. I built something with someone who trusted me completely. And then I left him holding all of it. So now I keep coming back to the same question. Did I ruin his life, or did he choose to trust the wrong person?